SheerLee here with Sirius Talis Moon. This is Moon Hour, Moon Day. The moon is 29 degrees Aries, ruled by Mars in Capricorn. And Mars is applying to trine Ketu and sextile Rahu. Mid ascendant, ruled by Venus at 6 degrees Capricorn in the ninth house. Midheaven, 29 degrees Capricorn. And Saturn in the 11th house, 26 degrees Pisces. Let's talk about extortion cults, sex and business. A lot of people, when I say sexual sovereignty, okay, a lot of people don't understand what's the business power of honoring sexual boundaries. I talked about life energy, I talked about wealth. Let's talk about Mars. So Mars is one of the planets that are really involved with sex strategy. Now here is the thing. In astrology, I can be an astrologer, take a look at someone's Mars. Let's say someone has Mars in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It's a duration. Doesn't mean that that's the time they spend in the bedroom. It could be the time they spend at work. It's sexual energy. Mars is a planet of climbing up the ladder. Now here is the thing. If that person honors sexual sovereignty, they will climb up the ladder and they would keep the prize. If not, how do you catch a sex offender? You don't catch them on being a sex offender. You know that what they do, how they do it in the bedroom, how they do it in the taxes. They did something wrong in the bedroom, we're going to see it in the taxes. That's it. They've been acting up in the bed in a way that violates someone's sovereignty. They've been doing that in business. Why did they send Annika Luke, a survivor of extortion cults, okay? She was smuggled out of child sex trafficking at age 11. By that time, she got to be in expendable children, which was mistreated, supposed to be dead. Then they did a blood test, realized that she's some bloodline of some aristocracy, something. They treated her interchangeably, very well, and torture. She got to be with an actor. They were she named because she named it. I talk about Michelle Nihul. Okay, if you don't know Michelle Nihul, I don't know him either. But but that's the guy that before Michelle Nihul, after the true deceivers were exposed, everybody were like, okay, it's a giant megalithic Peter ring. It's our governments. It's the governments of our governments. It's the lobbyists. It's the lobbyists of the lobbyists. It's the bankers. Everything. And then they brought Michelle Nihul. Nothing. Some psychopath. Now, I don't know how he did it. Okay? I think people in extortion cults, they don't have Santa Maria. It's Saint Michelle Nihul. Now, what she said, they'd send an expendable child to see what the king of an aristocrat, a politician, and so on and so forth. Okay? If he likes to murder kids, they'd send an expendable child. If not, they would send one of the other children. And Anneke Lucas was the child that had to identify by the face what kind of kink they like. Now, other than extortion, why is that important? Because how to do it in the bedroom. And notice that all of them had to like children. What does it mean already? That they like to do business with people that are exploited in helpless condition. Classic economic hitmanship. And also it tells us they like to do business in a way where they would always put the blame on the people they did business with. Also they tell us they like to do business in a way that nobody talks about the deal. Just from the fact that they like to exploit children. Why? Mars. Sex, actions, strategy. Now, you see a person, you see a company, Standard Oil, corrupts the soil, corrupts the water, corrupts the this, corrupts the that, blame it on the governments, have Gen Z throwing away the governments, and blames the people. They sold their freedom for food, for this, for that, for that. A pack of pedos. You see a person exploiting people in business. What do you know about them? This is why I have a colleague astrologer. And astrologers sometimes have telepathy with each other. This is Uranus, what can I say? We're weird. He says, SheerLee, if you don't like the way of a man, it means you don't like the man. And that means Mars. I said, it's the best, one of the best sex advices I got. If you don't like his ways, you don't like him. Best, if you know, that's very elegant, because if you say, how does an astrologer gives advices for the bedroom? That was a very elegant way to say it. So take a look. My father, I didn't know. I grew up with my mom. In fact, it was such a big crisis because my father came from Netherlands. And when they divorced, it was him and the company he worked for fixing cars. That's it. So I did not have a lot of conversations with my dad. But one thing he said to me, he said, a man, watch his actions. What his actions is Mars. He couldn't say, it's my father. I haven't spoken to him in... He said, you see a man, watch his actions. And I've been saying that from my perspective. See, I went to the post office. There was a lady greeted me there. I knew that lady. We sit and wait for a turn. Suddenly there's a number. She gets up and I don't see her anymore. She wanted to know how I'm doing. I spilled my heart out. She got the information, left. And I told her fair and square. Where the people went out, been through shit, as people try to make it seem like everybody is against. So I had no problem looking her in the eye. Now, why am I saying that? Because we had a talk. And she starts talking about somebody I knew and I had to flee from and so on. And I tell her that person, very considering, very this, very that. But when he gets stressed, he said, we probably don't know the same person. I said, I don't know. I said the good things. I'm human, they're human. Now I know very well. To be of something in certain, to be of something in life, okay? Right now, people have to deal with extortion calls. That's why I took a break from academia. To be very honest, they did not wipe me out of academia. The other way around. They were smart. They attacked me in the astral, they this, they that, yeah. But it didn't. And I saw that to defend my thesis, I'd have to be sitting in a room full of people that are doing voodoo, hoodoo, shmoodoo, talking to them about the body mind, with them trying to make me look like I'm doing pseudoscience. And they're trying to traffic children, and I have to look away and have a degree. No. So I'm saying everybody wants to make something of themselves. Now, if they go with them, the crimes they have to do, they increase to crimes against humanity. That's the point. And it affects science, it affects everything. If to buy a house, a person needs to rape children to be a house owner. And he would need to be some like a Epstein or a Detru. You see, that's what I'm saying. It's a bubble. It's a fiscal bubble that pops because when it affects every single person, not all people are compatible with being an Epstein or a Diddler. And we were talking and so on and so forth, and I said to her, because very, very likely, she thought maybe if I live there. Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. But here's the thing. I said, from my perspective, to be more with the person, I need to be able to relax into a person. If a person is in this society, is whatnot, has to lie all the time, gets stressed, gets this, gets that, and has to support policies that try to get my life energy out of me, that doesn't work. And when it comes to extortion cult, the reason they fund the vacations in Thailand, the vacations in Romania, the whatever, if they take drugs there, whatever, the parties, the this, the that. And it's not that they fund, it's like, oh, it's a party person. It's not about a party person. People go because they need to go, because that's their networking. But the reason is one, so that they will have the footage of a person committing a crime with a child. Two, so that they'll know what's, if they know how they are in bed, they know how they are in business. So now they know how they think, and they adjust their strategy to their strategy. Now in astrology we work with Mars, but here is the thing. No matter what your Mars is, if you honor the yes, no, and maybe, and sexual sovereignty, then you gotta, first of all, you got a hold of your life energy. Secondly, you got a business strategic advantage. Because the people that are not like that, you're gonna see it in the business. You're gonna see what they consider a deal, what they consider a deal signed. Do they work with NDAs? NDAs is exploitation. They're illegal anyway, so they work like rape. Eventually the person will have to talk because it will create complications in their life that they can't with. And that's the thing about it. This is why those cults are also affecting the life energy of the people within them badly. Now think about an organization. Let's say a certain public transport company ignores the fact that somebody has a diplomatic immunity because they escape human trafficking. Signs a report on a person that actually had the money for the bus, but because they didn't remember that they had enough, they didn't even try, and they immediately turn to the person and say, listen, I don't have enough money because I escaped human trafficking. And that person insists on writing them a report. They say, okay, I will write to the municipalities, I will write here, I will write there. People say, what report? You have nothing. There's nothing on you. For 2-3 years, one phone stolen, another phone stolen. 5 years later, suddenly, their bank account. Now, their bank account, they can't own any of the money. The only reason you see, oh, they can't get this much cash, they can get this much cash. They can use the money. You can't. Okay, a person has diplomatic immunity. He couldn't even do that legally. So all of that was illegal. And everybody, all the municipality, the taxes, everybody got a notice. Now, what would you say for the people behind that? They didn't let a person tend to the issue. They called the company say, you have no fine, you have nothing. Nothing. What's your ID? Is your ID? Nothing. Wait 5 years, and then take the bank account. Now, obviously that person, and they can't really do anything, because now what happened? That forces a person to speak for 5 years. Now, we don't know any name, we don't know nothing. What do we know about that? We know that that's some sort of a Mars-Saturn thing, but it works on exploiting children and waiting for the case to go old so that the child will not be able to complain. Which is, of course, not, there's no, such cases cannot go old. It's crimes against humanity. But so whoever was behind that, the particular person that gave the order, that particular strategy, whoever invented or whoever applies that, has a particular strategy. They rape a child, they wait for so and so and so and so and so and so years, and then they try to make for the child to pay for their problems that they got mixed in, that they did on the identity of that child. It's also the kind of person that says, no, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. Is this something? Okay, I know I don't owe you, but I need. There was a person that told me that they wrote the fine. No, wrote nothing. It's not nothing. It's, and then they invent something. That means that anybody that's in a deal with these people is going to experience the same thing. And no matter what, the person can go for 10 emails across the years. No, nothing. You have no debt. And they will go as far as to try to take the communication away from the person so that they will not even be able to address that. What do we know about such people? They're trying to commit a what? Identity tax fraud, hoping that it would go old by the 5 years. And they try to make the person that owns the account, to try to attack the memory, to try to make them look whatnot, to try to physically harm them so that they will not be able to communicate. Because they abused the person when they were helpless, and they try to now take their finances and say, oh, if this person can run finances, they were not helpless. No, it's not true. If they were rapists, they were rapists. They raped children, helpless people, people that were afraid that there would be implications. What implications? That they would do what they try to do, which is to try to deprive a person from their financial sovereignty. What do we know about such entity? Does it make you want to do business with such entity? That entity is called DAN. DAN Company for Public Transport. Who owns DAN? Whoever has equity in DAN. That's the type of thing you're expected as a business experience and investment in any equity associated with DAN, the company that it owns, and the company that owns DAN, and the conglomerate that has equity in DAN and in other companies. Now let's see who owns Ofir Karni. And again, Ofir Karni might not be the person, okay? It does mean that maybe even Ofir Karni is involved with such people and has a bad business experience. Maybe he wants to sell. Maybe he tried to buy. This is 75% of the company. Now, this was the end of 2025, so Ofir Karni is not a man. He bought the company. Now, he bought the company the end of 2025, by the way, which is why I got this now. Okay? From Ofir Karni's perspective, he's just trying to align everything. If anybody owes money, if anybody this, he tries to align the company. The previous one were the investors, Walio Base and LBH Trust Fund, together with Dan Corporation, that also sold a part of their equity. The new group includes Klal Bituach, Leumi Partners. Now, Klal and Leumi, I know them. They owe me money. Mizrahi is another bank, Invest, and Ofir Karni, who has 75% of the current company. This is why it happens to be now. Okay? I think it's almost Saturn return to the time I said no to the corruption in Leumi credit card company. And they owe Klal Bituach a lot of money because they gave Klal Bituach approval for a deal that I just did that deal, and I said it was actually to treat my skin. And I said, listen, if the bank approves that, and they try to tell me yes, and the bank approves and so on, I said okay, because I did that to basically be more representative and be able to apply for jobs. So if I had to improve something, I could improve upon this education as much as I could. Couldn't study a degree back then. So I thought, okay, some companies need, let's say, if you are in management or CEO, then you need to go to conferences, you need to look representable. And I said, okay, I will try by experience to apply for such jobs. And indeed, I was a campus manager Following that, by the way, following that, I think either it was following that, or I went in Shimko Tekludan, which I was basically instructor for. I was doing a teaching position, and then I had to look representative. It's not that I did. It's not that I was looking awful, but I had the teenager wounds and so on and so forth. And then he told me, well, let's see if the bank approves. And I said, well, if the bank approves, then the bank knows. They know, and they know my salary, and they know everything. So, okay. But then what happens when there is corruption in the company? When the people realize that they don't actually get jobs, and they weren't told that they don't actually get jobs by going through a QA course, or alternatively, that there are problems, there are bugs with the program, and this bug causes charges to the drivers. And I'm supposed to say that it's not so, but I see driver after driver. I'm not going to lie to a person that works 8, 10, 12 hours to raise a family, not the best salary in the world, and now has to pay from his money and look like he's fooling the company, look like he doesn't know how to count. Now Leumi Bank approves a loan, and then there's the subprime crisis, and nobody can pay the loans. So at least it wasn't a mortgage. Mizrahi Tfachot, again, they refused to open a bank account illegally, basically. And Ofir Karni, I don't know. So it's not his problem. He just bought the company. But Leumi Bank owes me money. Klal Bituach owes me through Leumi. And Leumi Bank owes me money because I did not agree with their credit fraud. And I had to seek another job for it while I was pretty much saving the day, and they didn't consult me. They didn't give me dividends. They didn't consult me. And then they take, I think, I don't know how many people supposedly saved the multi-card department, and then all these people have to tell the people, now I'm setting your credit monthly return to 400 shekels. Now I know what was I know what was the sector that I was remediating exactly that problem to. And then I have to say, I'm renewing your card. It's going to be free for the first years. Then it's going to cost $9.99, and you can set your monthly return to beyond 400 shekels. And then I could turn a sales call to a service call. And that's legal because renewing card is legal, renewing to a new product is legal, I'm giving them service, and I'm helping them with the problem they had with the previous card. Then they try to create another such problem. And I said, no, this is illegal. It was fractions of a millisecond before the subprime crisis. I'm a young girl, 20 something. I don't know about whistleblowers. All the calls are recorded. They changed the person. There was the direct manager, then there was the person above them. They changed him. A new lady came in. She decided with I don't know who she consulted to do that. I said no. I've been here. I know we had this problem. We almost and the brand of the company was Leumi Card Yoter Chacham, which means Leumi Card Smarter. Now, again, these folks come in. They think I owe them money. Now, Ofir Kani, not his problem. He bought the company. He does what he should do. He aligns the company. Any debts. Now, he doesn't know about the previous thing. Now, should he get an email? Because he should know who his partners are. He's going to have a lot of problems with the previous partners, which is Volio based in LBH. Because if they did that to me, they did that to him. Again, I don't know who he is. But that's a wealth consolidation that the Googleplex people, they're dealing with that. Let's see who is the new person. Ofir Kani. Okay, but who was he before? Yes, that's okay. We have some news. The accountant sent an ex-worker the secrets of the salary of the seniors. Basically, it's supposed to be available. Everybody in the company should know how much everybody's making. Otherwise, it's unethical. Age of air, come on! And actually, a judge approved the appeal. Like that judge is in a deep mess when it comes to the age of air. Okay, but what did Ofir Kani do before that? Okay, he wants to have a credit card company, then people will pay for the bus with a credit card. Oh, he was working in the aviation and in the Ministry of um, this budgeting. Okay, he was supposed to retire, and then there was a monopoly that they dissected. Okay, this is since 2003, 2004, and he wanted to run the money of Dan, but that was in 2004. That means that he was a part of the people in Dan for all this time, which means that he was a part of the problem. And now he basically wants to own Dan. So from him, it's climbing up the ladder. This is that Mars. This is that Mars. Let's see. Is a public figure, but I don't have. Very known businessmen, we have the chart. Because they're public figures. It's also an act of transparency. So, for him, he's going to have to align with that because they're going to be a shit on. He's setting himself for class lawsuit. Now, I don't believe in class lawsuits. I think that it should be separate lawsuits. I got this advice from lawyers. But, and again, of course, the owner of the company, but declined of the letter since 2004, which means that he was in the company for some time. And this means that this could be a strategy of the company. Now, if he had to do with the Ministry of Budgeting, okay, that means that he would have to budget classified projects. That means he owes a lot of people a lot of money and a lot of explanations near Jover. Now again, I don't know the guy. Okay, could be a Saturn return for him, could be a second Saturn return, could be something. He has something to do with Saturn. Mars is in Saturn sign. He could have a Mars in Saturn. There could be something with Mars and Saturn in the company. Mars is applying to trine and sextile the nodes. It means it's an opportunity for him to straighten up his act. But it's true. It's an opportunity for that, and this is what he's trying to do with that move. Okay, he's trying to charge the people, charge the debt, and so on. He's trying to align the company financially. Now, if he had a bubble where people were told, no, you don't have debts, and now they're told they do, for him, if he doesn't want to look really bad, if he doesn't want to look like a child exploiter businessman, then that's a great opportunity for him because this is where he can align his act. He can straighten up his act. You see, okay, just like he needs to straighten up his act and charge if there were any fees or anything like that, then he needs to straighten up his act and see, okay, if there were bubbles where the company tried to gain money by fines, by trying to create a bubble that creates a fine, then he has a good opportunity to get rid of that strategy before it becomes class lawsuits. Right now, I think it's already building up to class lawsuits. I don't know the guy. Okay, if I know the guy, I'd tell him, listen up. And if I was at the board, I would say, you got to take into consideration, if some people were told that they don't have debt, and so on and so forth, you're going to get a class lawsuit. And it's a big organization. It's not a small business. It's a big organization. Now, I'm here. I don't like seeing businesses getting a class lawsuit because class lawsuit means the name of the business going down. Class lawsuits looks bad to investors. But now he already made the move. And not only that, I had to go to the bank. And here's the thing with the bank. The teller told me. He said, yeah, they blocked my ability to see what's in your bank to force you to pay an insane amount of money to have just the bank details of this month. It was a privatization of the postal bank in Israel. Anybody want to do something about it? Anybody want to compete the companies? Go ahead, be my guest. It's an opportunity. People are pissed about having to wait, having to set an appointment with the bank, and okay, so there's a lot of people are upset with the service, And although I have to admit, certain things did arrive fast through the postal bank, there's something where I'm not. There's only something where I should have had it to. I should have received it to me instead of waiting for that to return to the ministry. But here is the thing: the big issue is that, and the bank teller had a really good service. Okay, it was a really good service-oriented person. He told me the truth as it is. Okay, he didn't try to gaslight me about it. He said, "Yeah, they blocked my ability to see your banking things, your bank details, so that you will have to pay 10 shekels, which is an insane amount of commission, particularly when most of the clients and all of the clients are people that either get the government money, so they're not supposed to pay that commission to begin with, but they privatize the sector, or they run it as a base account. So any company that's willing to buy postal bank in Israel, if they give better customer service, people don't have to wait in line or set an appointment, and if they charge lesser commissions from the people who actually have not the money to pay for these commissions, and then they can expand the bank activity. That's an opportunity that's there. With Dan, I think it's getting class lawsuits. To be very honest, I'm not seeking a class. I did not appeal to a lawyer to get a class lawsuit. Okay, I did not. I did not even Google that. Will I write him an email? Maybe I'll write him an email. Um, I wrote an email to the municipality through which but what I learned from that, okay, what I learned from that, because it's very easy looking at other people's mistakes. But for me, what I learned from me is that upon merger and acquisition and wealth consolidation, if you buy a new company, just like you want to charge any type of debt that it could be, first of all, if it's a public transport company, debt is a very sensitive topic because it's a public service. Also, a lot of people with a disability, when they drive the bus from their home to the grocery store or to the center or to the market, they have a lot of, they fall and this and that. Once there is a class lawsuit, the lawyers are going to look to dig up that stuff as well. It's a lot of money. So I think Dan Metropolitan is extremely problematic right now because of these elderly people that fall. And that strategy with the fines. Okay, this strategy of you have no debt, you have no debt, you have no debt. No, we don't know what's talking about. 3-4 years. Oh, you have a debt and there is a debt interest in it. Enough. Enough with that. That type of thing is child predator strategy. We're talking about the private sector. If you can't buy a company and run a company, there are other people willing to buy that company. This is Dan transportation, public transportation. Like I said, if you know how to solve the problem that elderly people will not have to fall on their way, and I'm telling you, it's not the buses that go inner city, it's within the city. That's where the problem is. The same, most accidents happen in the way in and out of the parking lot. Same thing. If you can solve that problem, And you're going to have to consolidate the wealth because there are going to be a lot of people that didn't have access to litigation. Once they do the class lawsuit, they're going to try to go for that as well. And rightfully so. These people, okay, it's not even about the money. It's people that suddenly, needed to get money from, when a person gets sick and can't do the things in their own selves, and some elderly people, they have to litigate their own insurance company, and then the insurance company will have to litigate. Now, so that's a very big deal, and if you can solve that, consolidate that, already you're aligning a company. And the other thing is this type of strategy with the fines, okay, because this is a bubble that sets into class lawsuits. So, yes, the company has a lot of problems, has these problems. Is it worth buying the company? Well, let me tell you something. I don't know why Mr. Ophir Carney was leaving, departing, saying he's retired from the aviation and the Ministry of Expenses. Okay, Sao. Okay, that's where they budget all of the ministries. So he had a good job, and he decided to retire and buy a public transport company. And he said it from 2004. Okay, that's a Mars in Capricorn. He said it from 2004, building up to a bubble, basically. Now he can still line this bubble, okay, but building up. So probably if if he was saying he's retired when he didn't actually retire, to begin to work at a done company, he probably saw a future there. So probably had a reason. Here's the problems with the company currently. If you think you could solve them better than Ophir Carney, so we talk about postal office, and we talk about then public transportation. And like I said, it's a business opportunity for people that want to consolidate that wealth. But for me, what I learned about wealth consolidation and buying companies is understanding the bubbles. And understanding going to be a lot of people are going into class lawsuits because somebody thought that they're planning on creating a bubble and then getting them into debt. Now, if that company is affiliated with human trafficking, targeting individuals, classified projects, I don't know. That would be a bigger deal. But if you can clear that company off of classified projects, now you have a strategic advantage over the entire sector. Pluto in Aquarius is the age of the people, it's the age of air. Now, according to the litigation there with somebody exposing the salaries of the seniors, I get that there was a big salary gap in the company. So there's something really not running right. And the person is now owning it, has been there since 2004, and he's been running the accountant, so he's got to know. It's the age of air. Think about it. It's illegal to pay, let's say, a woman less than a man in the same job and the same hours. Without transparency, for example, in Finland, one can call the tax office and say, how much is this person making? Why? Because if I work in a new company, I'm not going to ask people, how much you making, how much it is. No, I say, I can call the tax company and say, how much is this person making? Thank you, Karpu from Finland, her Finland. Why is that? Because if I'm a woman and he's a man, and he makes more than me in the same job, same experience, same job title, same hours, then I can litigate. It's transparency. It's wealth gap management. It's also inner treason management. Because if one person makes like this and the other person makes way less, that other person is recruitable by business espionage. They make less money. Now we are in the age of air. Everybody sees everything. So a person can come to a company worker and say, see, they pay you how much? I don't ask you, but let's see. Can you buy a house with a salary where you're working it? I don't know, checking the tickets. They say, okay, by my company, you can have a fixed rate loan, which means no subprime prices. Okay? That's how my grandmother bought the house. And you're going to have a security. So your mortgage is safeguarded. Let's say you lose your ability to work. Nobody takes the house. I can't pay you way more than that person can. But here's what comes with that salary. And the hours, working hours are such that you can have a family and work. That person say, okay, when do I start? This is just one type of ethical, very ethical. It's not even business espionage, just ethical entrepreneurship. See, Meta decides to disable accounts and so on and so forth. If you have a business on Meta, I suggest you to not rely on Meta, okay, or any other such company to run your business. Because in one blink of an eye, they can decide that they are checking the account to see if it complies, and then you cannot advertise as a business. One, you wouldn't know why. You can appeal, maybe they accept appeal. Now, even if they accept appeal, you have to wait for, by the way, if you don't like a business on Meta, report, they halted, the business is halted. Don't do it on small businesses. Don't do it on small, do it on corporations. Do it on the bigger corporate, do it on them. Okay? Because that person has a halt until Facebook checks. A halt means that nobody is venued. Nobody sees your business page. Nobody is venued from your business. Your business doesn't exist for, I don't know how long it takes them to check these things. Anybody can do that. Anybody, they don't like you, they can do that. This is why I didn't agree to rely on social media alone as a business strategy. They ask me, okay, what do you do for a living? Well, can I work? Is there, everywhere is protection. I don't fit in with the schedules because the schedules are meant for slavery. But hey, maybe maybe I'm just sensitive to that. Okay, I need a very sensitive person type of job that is independent. I know astrology, I know aromatherapy. Now, if I run a business, I don't know, some people may have complaints. I will need consultation,